I'm sick. This is the best you guys are gonna get from me today. Not super glam. I'm literally in my pajamas, but I put on a Kuromi sweatshirt. I do apologize. I know you guys are gonna hear the 3D printer ambiance in the background.
Randall, there is a cow outside.
There's a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside.
We work with 3D printers. You're gonna hear 3D printers in the background. I do apologize. That is just the luxury of working out of my garage. So as you guys know, a couple months ago, Brandon and I moved across country from Indiana to my home state, Washington State. Something that kind of sucked about that was we left behind a lot of our friends. We don't really know too many people out here in Washington currently. Not that we have time to hang out with anyone with the business. We've been so extremely busy, we haven't been able to hang out with anyone. To make a long story short, Brandon and Brendan, they've been like besties since middle school. They were inseparable in that time period. Brendan is dating Danielle, and in the last year, right before we decided to move across country, we actually got pretty close again with Brendan and his girlfriend Danielle. All four of us got along really well. I knew Brendan from school because I had classes with him as well, so we all kind of just like mutually knew each other. And then I met Danielle and got really well along with her. It really sucks because me and Danielle had really just started budding a friendship right before I decided to move across country, and if there's one thing about me, it's I don't text anyone back. I don't text anyone back and I don't call anyone back. Ever. It's never something wrong with you. It's always something wrong with me. I'm very overwhelmed constantly. And with the business, like, I have not had any time to, like, at times I don't even text my parents back. I'm just a hermit. I really am. But the one way to get through to me is if you put a friend slop game in front of me, because dear Lord, I love me some Lethal Company. Circle back to Kuromi PC. Danielle has wanted a PC for some time. Brendan has a PC, and Brendan sometimes games with me and Brandon, but Danielle just has a Mac, and it isn't great. It's older. Brendan wanted to get her a pre-build for Christmas because she's been needing an upgrade for some time. That's where we come in. So this is more of a budget build, in part paid for by Danielle's boyfriend Brendan, and then in part also a little sponsored by HYTE because they did send over some goodies to try out for this build. This is my first impression of building in their new X50 case, which is freaking adorable. It is kind of like a Pez tablet shaped case with these little booty feet on the bottom. I've been wanting to build in this case for some time. This is my first time getting around to it, and it is a bit different than their Y60s and Y70s. But definitely going up on one of my favorite cases to build in lists. Danielle is a big Sanrio fan. I'm a big Sanrio fan. We both love Kuromi. I just knew that this case would pull off a Kuromi theme so cutely. So this build is a little bit more on the budget end, but we're trying out some new things from HYTE. Super appreciate it again, guys. You guys are always so supportive. Get a little artsy with it with some 3D printing and some hand painting. HYTE gifted us the X50, of course, and 2 packs of these color matched taro milk fans, which are super cool. You guys might remember in Brandon's build, I spray painted fans to match, and even then it wasn't a perfect color match, so having perfectly color matched fans is super cool. They also included a USB splitter and a solid processor frame that I'll talk a little bit more about as I install them. In all honesty, this is my first time ever using a solid processor frame. It works by removing the original hardware from the motherboard and helping pull down your processor chip onto the motherboard for better connectivity, while simultaneously dispersing the heat better because it is just a solid brick of metal in this beautiful lavender shade, by the way. I really do think it's pretty, and it's an ultimate bummer that once I put the CPU cooler on, it covers all of that purple. And it does in fact come with a tube of thermal paste that is trying to flirt with me. It says, "Unlike you, this is not a snack." Well, too damn bad. I did want to eat some. I tried to make a heart. It didn't work out very well. Cleaned it up with alcohol, and now I'm installing the CPU cooler. Of working on Danielle's Kuromi PC, and so far I'm loving the X50 cases. It's very cute and easy to use with their cable management. I wish they offered the chibi little feet, but in the black and white versions too. I did not finish putting the PC together last night. I'm having Brandon do some cable management because I feel like crap. I had joked to Danielle because last week Danielle was super sick, and now this week me and Brandon on the other side of the country are super sick. So I'm just like, did you cough on us through the screen? I'm building you a computer and you got me sick, Danielle. What the hell? So this is day 2. I am working on the little Kuromi face that I want to do for this build. Ignore all my scrap fabric and binders in these drawers, making the drawers impossible to close. But I took the front panel off, and you guys can see that it is a graded screened panel, which means I can't really do like a Cricut vinyl applique on it very well because it'll peel back off. So we do plan to paint the Kuromi face on this case. What I'm gonna do is use my Cricut to make a stencil. I'm gonna make the vinyl stencil in this ugly orange color because I'm really never gonna use this vinyl, and I'm gonna paint over it anyways. I'm gonna make a stencil of the face by taking a piece of paper and drawing out the exact measurements of the face and the skull I want on this case. Cut that stencil into this ugly vinyl. I'm gonna put the ugly vinyl on the case and mask off the rest of the case with this giant masking tape that we have left over from redoing our kitchen's floor tiles. Like this, I drew it on some grid paper. I'm gonna cut it out and get the measurements and then line the measurements up around 5.5. This should be good. Let's cut it out and see how it works as a stencil. I promise you guys, I will not be working with my Cricut on the floor for much longer. I have a Cricut cart coming. I just never really had one before, and I only recently got this Cricut on Facebook Marketplace. This is what the stencil looks like weeded, and I took those weeded parts and just laid them on here for a general idea of the sizing. We're gonna take this giant masking tape and put the stencil down and mask the rest off. Looks a little bit like a Tide Pod, but who would have thought ginormous masking tape would have made masking this panel off literally so easy. Heat up this vinyl just so I get a really good firm sticking, and then I'm gonna spray paint just the exposed parts white. I'm gonna put some alcohol on a paper towel and wipe down on the case where we're gonna be spraying so there's no fingerprint smudges or anything. Wiped with some alcohol. Brandon's over here etching a PC case right now. Look at him, so cute. But I'm gonna take this over to our paint tent. We gotta paint outside, but we live in Washington where it rains a bunch. Brandon was painting some white cathedral kits. That sometimes happens when we run out of a color of filament, so we finish it in one color and just paint it white. We're taking our ultra white painter's touch paint and primer and just going in over top this. I want a direct down spray. I don't want anything at an angle because it might go up and under the vinyl, and that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. Okay, good. Making sure that there's nothing clogging it. I'm so nervous. I just want to do very light, little tiny strokes. color match to the case, and I'm going in and painting the heat sinks on the motherboard just to match the case because that is kind of ugly. And off camera, I am going to continue this Kuromi face because my stupid chud ass phone is out of storage and Brandon's stupid chud ass phone keeps dying. So I will report back to the options of both black ears and purple ears, but I am in the process of color matching a better color for this purple because I don't know why. Finding a lavender that is as blue toned as HYTE's Taro Milk cases is next to impossible. Tried different lavender filaments before, but we can never find ones that like actually match the color. So I'm just gonna go over with like a blue wash on this until it matches the case. And we've actually decided we're gonna go with putting the glowy fans on the bottom of the case and the purple fans back here because the black fans are actually pretty visible through the plating, and I want it a little bit less visible so the focus can be more on Kuromi's face and not so much the fans behind her. So we're gonna go in and put the Taro Milk fans from HYTE back behind her right here, so it's just a little bit less visible. I did paint those two heat sinks there. They were just like a gunmetal color and it was really throwing off the vibe. It is the next day. Let's talk cable management because I've been sick, so I had Brandon cable manage for me. But let's talk about the difference between an X50 and a HYTE Y70 for cable management. Something really cool that I did not get a clip of is, like many other cases, the power supply is mounted at the top, whereas in the Y70s it's usually mounted at the bottom, which is kind of cool. You are a little bit more limited on cable management space for this case, but I mean that's kind of a no-brainer with it being a smaller case than the Y70s. Still have really good like positioning for cable management slots with their rubber slots here and then along the front in front of the motherboard. We did like working in this case. I think it's a really cute case. We swapped the RGB fans down here with the purple ones here, so the black ones are just a little bit less distracting behind the grating of the Kuromi in front. But they have really ugly stickers on the back of the fans, so I'm gonna take some acrylic paint and just paint over the stickers. That's an eyesore. That's an eyesore. I have acrylic paint. I acrylic paint everything I get my hands on. I'm gonna acrylic paint this. I often get asked what paint I use to paint on computer components, and I'm gonna be so real with you guys. I do a combination of spray painting and acrylic painting, and I know that might be controversial, but I've never in the bazillion computers I've built at this point have I ever had an issue because a component was painted. And if anything, acrylic paint is a polymer base paint, so it dries as a plastic with its evaporative being water. So when the water from the acrylic paint evaporates, it dries as a thin sheet of plastic. And if you do what I do, where I build up super thin layers over time, like it's a tiny little sheer layer of plastic. It's not going to do anything to this casing of this fan or this heat sink of my motherboard. It doesn't really change anything that much. I'll take these little ears that I color match to the case a little bit better and the front panel itself and give it a clear coat of matte clear. Paint is dry on the backs of these fans. Just don't look too closely. You might still see a tiny bit of a logo here and there, but it is ultimately going to be covered with a graphics card and a panel. Get some fan covers in. We actually have one that Brandon's working on right now, so I'm going to get most of them in and then come back with the last one. Here is our Kuromi fan cover in pink. Because these fans are not RGB, I felt like the pastel pink will be a really cute touch and nod to the skull that will be on the front of her head. These two are installed. Look at these little Kuromi skull cherry ones that we made really quickly. I had the idea because I had seen the pattern on some other stuff like a purse before, and I thought it'd make a really cute fan cover. So I think we're gonna go with, I mean, I'll give her both, but I'll go with the regular-eyed one because it matches these. Cute. I like how this is looking. At the beginning, I made mention that HYTE sent over a USB splitter, and look at how cool and Y2K futuristic this USB splitter is. I've never seen something like it before, but because Danielle's PC did not have an abundance of RGB, I ended up using it in a different build because her build didn't really need it, and it lights up when plugged in. Like, that is very cool, so thank you, HYTE, even if I didn't use it for this build. And after installing her graphics card, that really covers the assembly portion of this PC build. So let's do a little montage and meet back up before we send it over to Danielle. So we're back. This is the Kuromi build. I am very pleased with how it turned out. I think it's adorable. We're gonna get this packed up and shipped out tomorrow morning. Can't wait to see how Danielle likes it. HYTE for sponsoring parts of this video. I really did enjoy building in this case. I do think the cable management's a little bit of a learning curve from the Y70. The Y70 really spoils you with case size. You can fit so much more in the back than you can with these X50 cases, but that's kind of a no-brainer. It's a smaller case. I can't breathe out of my nose, guys. I'm not I have to upload monthly to be a YouTuber, but why do I get sick and not want to do anything? Also, Sanrio drop. We're gonna have a drop for Kuromi, My Melody, Hello Kitty, Pom Pom Purin, and Cinema Row. For Y70s and Y60s, they work for both, and then the X50s as well. Ears for your PCs. Danielle, I hope you like the PC. I hope we are playing Lethal Company or something right now as we speak while we're editing. See if Editing Zoe has any updates on that. But I love me a friend slop game, and I really do feel like they are the best way to bond with your friends. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. Anything of importance will be linked in the description. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe because I'm sick and I don't feel good, and it would make me feel better if you liked, comment, and subscribed. Isn't it ironic that I named my company Zombie Tech Gaming and now I'm like so fucking sick I feel like a zombie? I meant Zombie Tech Gaming in like the cool Paranorman bedroom style type beat, not the I can't breathe through my nose and I'm a mouth breather beat. I love you guys. I'm going to bed now. Good night.